Thanks for tuning in. My name is Bobby Gutierrez. I'm joined today in the studio by my fellow host, Tiffany Jahoric, owner-operator of Crystal Meadow Farms, and our studio technician, Rich Klenzman, owner-operator of Step Beyond Media. Welcome to both of you. We are in the Rio Blanco Herald-Times studio, created by Lucas Turner, on the corner of 4th and Main Streets in downtown Meeker, Colorado, recording the 21st episode of Cowboy Coffee with Coaches, a podcast created to recognize and promote our student athletes, focusing on high school varsity teams, their coaches, and mentors. Today is Monday, January 24th, 2022. As mentioned, we record these episodes and then upload them to our Coffee with Coaches Facebook page and share it around from there. Tiffany will update us here in a moment on how our teams did last week after I tell you who our first two guests will be in our second segment. We will have, first we'll have Meeker boys head basketball coach Clark Kindler, who's coming off two big wins here at home, where his team led from kind of start to finish there against Little Snake River Rattlers, and then against the Rams from South Routt County or Sirocco there in Oak Creek. The team looked good in both games, and we'll let Coach Kindler tell us about how that went and what they have coming up. Also, we have in the studio with us this morning Dr. Justin Grant, who will tell us about his recent 24-hour fundraiser for a family friend they did, Monty Milton, at the Smoking River Brewing Company here a couple of weeks ago. We'll have Dr. Grant tell us about that incredible feat that doing an exercise routine for 24 hours, and we'll have him then put on his wrestling coach's hat and talk a little bit about the Meeker High School wrestling team and how they did last weekend. They were in a big tournament in Lafayette. So that's all coming up. But first we'll have Tiffany recap of the results from our basketball teams, our swimmers and wrestlers. And it's where Tiffany went last week, was following the wrestlers where Sun just wrestled. So go ahead, Tiffany.
Yeah. So in girls basketball, they had two losses over the weekend. They lost to Little Snake and Sirocco. They're now 5-5 on the season, overall, and 2-1 in the league. They did come out with a win against Caprock. And Coach Rogers said that both Sirocco and Little Snake face guarded Sarah Kraft. She had a really battle for every single point that she got in those games. And over the weekend, she did score a total of 38 points. Haley Knowles, again from Coach Rogers, said had an extremely good all-around game in both games, meaning Little Snake and Sirocco. She nearly had a triple-double Thursday and did have a double-double with points and rebounds against Sirocco. Ainsley Sully rebounded really well against Sirocco and found rhythm with her shot. In the end, both teams had a better shooting percentage than the Cowboys did. She said, again, Coach Rogers, we came out a little slow against Caprock. Midway through the first quarter, the girls found their legs and picked up their defense. Michaela Willie did a great job. Savvy was sick, so Ellie Hosick stepped in and played in each game with way more confidence, and she's just a sophomore.
Yes, she did good.
Yep, so again, Kraft had 38 points, Knowles had 25, and Michaela Willie had 13. That was total points for the weekend. Well, in boys basketball, they are moving on up 7-1, and is that right? 7-3.
7-3.
Yes. Okay. 7-3, but 3-1 on the league. They had 3 wins over the weekend against Little Snake, Caprock, and Sirocco. Liam Deming scored 25 points on Saturday, and Zager Brown had 12 points and 18 rebounds on Friday. And then we'll talk to Coach Kindler more after the break. And then in wrestling, this is definitely the toughest tournament in the state of Colorado. It's invite only. We were really lucky to be able to go because Meeker was able to show off what we're all about. And every single kid on the team got a win. At the end of day one, the team was in 4th place, which is amazing. There were 33 teams there. The only other 2A team there was John Mall. They only brought 7 kids and only scored 3 points the whole weekend. So Meeker really did.
It's a good showing, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also really interesting. We're just a small school 2A team. We had full team 14 weights. Only 5 other teams had 14 weights.
Oh wow.
Yep. So we did really good. So then in day 2, Zeke But Giannetti, Bo Muxlow, Trey Kennedy, Clay Crawford, Abe Maupin, Connor and Cade Blunt, Kelton Turner, Hayden Schultz, Judd Harvey, and Tanner Musser were all still alive. And in the end, Cade and Tanner took 5th place, and Connor and Kelton took 3rd place. The team ended in 7th, but it was only 3 points away from actually 5th. So 5th, 6th, and 7th were only separated by 3 points. Yeah, in swimming, Wagner took 7th place in the 100 freestyle, and then the 200 free relay finished in 2 minutes and 10 seconds, cutting off 2 seconds, and that is Vivian, Sarah Johnson, Kate Lockwood, and Megan Neaton, and then Wagner and Vivian each placed 5th and 6th respectively in the 100 backstroke, and Wagner cut nearly 6 seconds off this weekend.
All right, and did any of them qualify for state?
I don't believe that any of those, that 200 free is really close. I think they were 7 seconds, so I think they need to shave another 5 seconds off in that 200 free, and then they'll be there.
Coach Neaton had said last week that they were getting close on a couple relays.
And that was from the Delta meet.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Tiffany. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have Coach Kindler tell us about his weekend and kind of what they have coming up. Thanks for staying tuned.
Crystal Meadow Farms is family owned and operated, offering a wide range of CBD products. Coming from 5 generations of farming, Crystal Meadow Farms offers farm-to-table products. In-house CBD extraction using beverage-grade CO2 since 2019. They create a CBD oil without the use of harmful chemicals. Their retail products are handcrafted using organic and natural ingredients and are some of the strongest on the market. They offer a range of CBD tinctures, spa products, a pet line, gummies for day and night, and a large line of topicals. All right. Thank you for coming back. Thanks for tuning in. And thank you, Coach Kindler, for joining us again and supporting our podcast. Good job last week. As I mentioned earlier, you had 2 wins, but actually you had 3. I saw 2 of them, and your team looked good, kind of controlled the game from start to finish against the Little Snake River Rattlers which was at home, as well as the game against the Roaring Fork the Sirocco Rams, and in front of a good crowd. We had good crowds the other day. So tell us a bit about the games and how that went.
Well, we did have a good weekend, just like you guys said.
You have a radio voice. Just like you come right in and it's like,
it's early, that's why.
There you go. Thanks,
we really like playing Snake River because they are so competitive and just a good small community. Their kids always play so hard. It doesn't matter if they're what their talent level is. They're always going to play so hard. And sure enough, they played hard. And we hit some shots in the first half and got a lead and made them chase us for the most part in the second half. And the game always simplifies itself a little bit when you're hitting shots. And we hit some shots. We went inside with success early on, and then they kind of took away the inside, and so we had to kick it out. And our guards hit some big threes and knocked down some open looks, and so we did play well.
Yeah, they were, as you say, Zager was down underneath there and playing good underneath, and they were hitting the 3-pointers. A couple of them were hitting those long shots. So yeah,
Ryan came off the bench, and Sullivan and hit I think it was 3 threes in the. He was 3 for 3 at one time. I can't remember if they were all 3 in the first half, but that helped us, and that loosens things up on the inside.
Yeah.
And then you had an away game against Caprock, and how did that go?
Wow. We struggled. It's funny. We hit all these open looks on Thursday night, and 24 hours later, you get up and nothing went in. We got a little bit of a break. Caprock's best player didn't play because of COVID. But you always want to play the best. We were talking about wrestling before we went on, and they had a great weekend, and some of those kids got to wrestle some really good kids. So you want to play the best, but we just couldn't find a rhythm offensively Friday night, and we just struggled. We were 0 for 17 on threes Friday night. Not one of them went in, and
but shooting them, keep shooting them. Yeah,
like Mr. Sully says, shooters got to shoot.
Yeah.
And we finally found a little success going inside. Got a 3 or 4 point lead, and then they switched to a zone, and we kind of quit trying to go inside. You can always, you watch the film and whatever, and you can always second guess yourselves of what you did, but we settled a little bit too much for the threes when they weren't going in, and we kept on shooting them, and they were good looks. You can't tell the kids not to shoot it. Then they get confused or whatever, and by the fourth quarter, if just 1 or 2 go in, we're going to get that little lead that's going to take us over the top, and you're just, as they're going up, you're like, my gosh, one of them has to go in, and none of them did, and pretty soon we hit a big shot with, I don't know, about 30 seconds left, and got up, must have got up 4 or 5, I can't remember, and then they went down and scored, and then we got the stop that we needed to win.
Good deal.
And so Caprock and Sirocco are both in our league?
Yes, they are.
And Little Snake obviously isn't because they're in Wyoming, but...
And Caprock is, they've really turned the corner. They really guarded us well, and they've done a good job of kind of building their program up. They're really good, and we did a good job of shutting down their best player that was there. We held him to 3 or 4 points under his average. We denied him the ball, and we're always up in his face, and so we did a good job defensively. But they've turned the corner, and it used to be when you play Caprock, it's a night off, and now you better bring it.
Good.
Well, okay, and so 7-3 coming up. How does that set you in the league, and what do you have coming up?
We've got 2 huge games this week. Rangeley on Thursday night, and I believe Rangeley only has 2 league losses. So it's a big game. They're still trying to compete for some seeding, and still have an outside shot of winning the league. And then Saturday we play Vail Mountain, and Vail Mountain only has a league loss to Caprock. Vail Mountain and Vail Christian still have to play each other in the league. So if we can get the 2 wins this week, and Vail Mountain could knock off Vail Christian, that puts us back in a tie for first. So
good.
These are big games.
Yes.
And Vail Mountain is really good again this year.
And you said Rangeley at home on Thursday, and where was Vail?
Vail's also at home on Saturday.
Oh, good. Okay. And also on Thursday, I believe there's some kind of charity events, bowls for...
Yes, and I'm not exactly sure. They're selling some bowls,
and
I believe, with soup in it, right?
Yeah, soup. It's bowls that the art department's made, and they're selling them as a fundraiser for something. I will have to look that up.
Yeah, we'll look that up, and we'll get that in the third
And we're
section.
also at halftime of the boys' game. We are going to honor we've got that Cowboy Up, or I believe it's called, on the board in the gym, with 4 or 5 names on it that the kids get to pick of Cowboy supporters.
Oh, right.
And
Bobby's one of them.
Yes. So we're going to honor those guys at halftime on Thursday.
Oh, great. Okay.
Cool. Okay, and we'll find out the other deal on the
Yeah, it's on Facebook.
the Bulls.
I can
Okay.
find it, yeah.
So coming up, thanks, Coach, and
You
good
betcha.
luck. Good luck. Keep up the good work, and we'll take a quick break and put Dr. Grant in the hot seat. So
Yeah.
thanks again, Coach,
You
for
betcha.
being on. Good luck today.
All right, and welcome back. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Grant. About 10 days ago, you did a 24-hour fundraiser, so why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about that, what a feat that would be, maybe about the routine that you did, how many circuits you completed or cycles, what I'm not sure the term there, and then kind of who was all involved, and go ahead.
Yeah,
Thanks.
awesome. Thanks for having me on, Bobby. So for people who weren't following along, last weekend, we did a fundraiser for a family friend of mine by the name of Maddie Milton. So she was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, and she's unfortunately doesn't have any health insurance. So we did a fundraiser to try and raise money for her to help her pay for her medical bills. The fundraiser, what I did was I did a workout for 24 hours, and my goal was to get as many rounds as possible in the 24 hours. Did that at Smoking River Brewery, and then we had various ways of raising money. And real quick, I wanted to kind of say like just how awesome it was for the community to come together for Maddie. So Maddie had a GoFundMe that she started actually about 6 months ago. At the start of the GoFundMe, or at the start of the workout, there was already $22,000 in there. There's $36,000 in there now after the workout.
Oh, wow.
And that doesn't include the large amount of cash that people gave. That doesn't include what some of the other businesses just sent directly to her. So it was an awesome thing to see the Meeker community come together to support something like that. It's just incredible. The workout itself was is a CrossFit type workout. So what I did is I did 50 calories on the row machine, 50 squats, 50 calories on the ski erg, 50 ground to overhead. So basically you have a barbell that had 75 pounds total. And whether you do a clean and jerk, clean and press, or a snatch, the goal is to get it from the ground to overhead 50 times. And then 50 calories on the assault bike, and then 50 bar over burpees. So then repeat that as many times as I could in 24 hours.
And how many times did you do it?
Yeah, so I got 27 rounds and 185 reps into the 28th round. So when I was training for this, I've been training for it now for almost 3 months. What I was doing is twice a week I would do the wind tunnel. The name of the workout was the wind tunnel. I would do the wind tunnel anywhere from an hour to a few hours. The longest I ever did it was for 5 hours. Looking back at the time when I was training, when I did the 5 hours, I did 10 rounds, and I felt pretty good. I was thinking, I could probably keep this up and maybe shoot for 36 to 40 rounds. And that was my goal going into it. What I did not plan for was this thing called the doldrums. Like when your circadian rhythm, when it's time to go to bed. I've worked for 24 to 48 hours in a row without sleeping multiple times, even since I've been here, and then especially in residency. So the lack of sleep wasn't new to me. What was new to me was doing a high-intensity workout without sleep. And it really put into perspective, like Hell Week for buds or some of those special operations people. They go 5 days of doing something like that. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely insane to think about doing that, because in 24 hours, between the hours of 3 and really 6 a.m., it's probably some of the most miserable hours I've spent in a very long time. Also,
did you have some people working out with you?
Yep, and that's what I was going to say. Like, to get through that time, I also don't think I would have done it by myself, or could have been able to do it by myself. So various people came in to help me and to support me throughout those really dark hours, like Lee and Stephanie Overton and their son Kale. I was super impressed with Kale. He actually ended up doing almost 9 hours of the workout.
Oh my word!
I was very impressed.
He's a 10-year-old, or
yeah, I think he's 11.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was actually doing the workout, everything except for the 75 pounds ground overhead. He was doing that. I was very impressed. But no, so Lee and Stephanie came in. Forgetting the exact time, I think from 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. To help keep me going. And then Kevin Borchard came in from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. To keep me going. And even my Pastor Todd, came in during those dark hours just to be there and to keep me company.
And I think, didn't Buzz Clatterbaugh come in too?
Yep. And Buzz Clatterbaugh came in, and he was there for a long time. I want to say from like 2 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Yep, he was. I actually spoke with him, and he said, I couldn't leave him I was worried.
Yeah. And then Buzz went from there, took an hour nap, and then went to wrestling practice, and then came right back to keep supporting me too.
Yeah.
And, when he walked in, he found me at probably like one of my part of the darkest time of trying to recover. I was probably looked really pathetic, barely stepping over the bar for my burpees. And I told him, if you tell anybody you saw me like this, I'll kill you.
Well, he actually said that at one point in time you were just like leaned up against the wall, and he was like, "Uh-oh," like.
Yeah.
So how did you eat and drink? And I mean, you're burning calories, and you have to refuel. How did you do that?
Yep. So I had a variety of snacks in my Yeti cooler there on the counter next to me where I was working out, of things that I thought would taste good throughout all of it. Fruit, some Fuel for Fire packets, different Fit Aid drinks, some nuts, things like that. Something I definitely would have done differently would be the hydration side of it. So I did a good job of keeping up with electrolyte drinks, but I think I would have done more just free water. I went...
Coffee?
Coffee. No, so I ended up developing really bad diarrhea for like 6 hours during that, which made it even harder to keep up with drinking water or with staying hydrated. And then I went about 4 hours without urinating at all, despite drinking during that 4 hours over a gallon of water. And so that definitely caused me to cramp up quite a bit, caused me to have some other problems. But the benefit of that is it put me into mentally a really dark place. And it sounds weird that it was a benefit, but the benefit is, how often does anyone really grow or get to know themselves when they aren't in a dark place like that, when they aren't facing something that's really hard? And I got to see inside of myself in ways I haven't in a very long time. And over this last week, I've spent quite a bit of time reflecting about it. And I'm going to start putting pen to paper here pretty soon in writing about it, because I think it's going to be great lessons, not only for me self-reflecting, but I'm excited to share that with people as I start to really flesh it out and put it into words. So it was a great opportunity that way.
Yeah, I went back. You had several people that Porter interviewed, and you interviewed. Kyle Dake, one of them. I went back and listened to that. Incredible interview and incredible person. But also Kelton was interviewed. I didn't listen to his. And that's a cool thing about that, and listening to their stories and kind of talking was a neat deal. So I'd be anxious to hear about your experience there.
Yeah, absolutely. I still need to, I think, figure out how exactly I want to say that before I describe that mental journey. But yeah, no, it was definitely a great experience. One I'm not sure I'm looking forward to ever repeating again.
I was gonna ask one of my questions when you're doing the next one.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I really enjoyed a lot of aspects of it. In the future, I plan to do some other kind of extreme type events. But I don't know if I know I will never do the wind tunnel for 24 hours again. That won't happen. So.
And so, kind of putting on a different, your wrestling, assistant wrestling coach's hat now, and maybe talk a little bit about that and kind of looking for the best. We were talking about looking for the best competition, and they definitely found it here this last weekend over in Lafayette at the top of the Rockies. 8 of the top 8 5A teams were there. I think 4 or 5 of the 4A teams were there. We finished 7th as a team, Tiffany said, and a good showing. Placed 4 guys in the top 5, and 2 consolation champs, which is great. And so they saw the best competition, and wrestling really is a mental game, and it's good that they saw that and were able to compete and have a good showing. So kind of coming in, maybe kind of tell how that works on them and how they can kind of build on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So real quick, when we're done talking about that, I do want to go through like a list of thank yous over the 24 hour event.
Sure. Yep.
Excuse me. So let me forget to do that. Coming into this wrestling season, one of the things the coaches and I talked about was we all talked about we wanted to pursue the highest level of competition. We wanted to expose the boys to as much high-level wrestling as we could for a couple of reasons. One, because we were really confident coming into this year. We knew these young men can do it, and they proved it this weekend. And two, you only can improve as much as you push yourself. And so by getting out there and mixing it up with the highest level wrestlers in Colorado only helps us continue to grow. And so that was one of the things when we came into this year. So when we got invited to the top of the Rockies, that was super exciting for us, a great opportunity. Tiffany already talked a little bit about the top of the Rockies. There's 33 teams. Only one other 2A team was there. It was all 4 and 5A. Were there any 3A teams?
I don't think so, but I didn't really know a lot of them. And actually, there was one 6A team from New Mexico.
And a 6A team there, yeah. So we were definitely the little guys in the room as far as the school size. But despite that, we left in 7th place, only a few points from even 5th place. I think you said 3 points from 5th place.
Yeah, we would have. So it was 115 points for 5th place. 6th place was 116, and then we were 7th at 117. So if we would have won one more match, we would have been 5th place.
Yeah, that was just super close. Like going in there, these boys really mixed it up, and every one of them really wrestled incredible. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there. I was on call this weekend, but I felt like I was there because the constant updates I got. And so I did speak to some of the coaches and some of the things that they had to say. Number one was just outstanding wrestling. Mature was one of the adjectives used. So specifically with Cade Blunt, we saw a new level.
Freshman.
Yeah, who's a freshman. We saw a new level of maturity. One who's gone from seeing a lot of, as you say, freshman level wrestling to just really stepping it up, keeping his focus on the match, focusing on what's in his control, and just trying to keep going and win the match, not worrying about what's out of control. Another one was Clay, another freshman who really stepped it up. We're all really excited to see what he has in the future. We had 4 placers. So Connor just wrestled like a maniac. He's really on top of his game right now, and we're excited to watch him keep growing as a junior. So we're excited to have another year out of him. Kelton Turner, he is, as everybody in the community knows, he has had to overcome a lot. And seeing him overcome all of that, and then this weekend go against some of the best wrestlers, not only in the state, some of them in the country, and to still get third. And in that third place match, pin the number 1 5A kid.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And then Tanner Musser was described to me as he wrestled really smart. He kept his head, he stayed calm, and he just wrestled really smart and mature. And then our other placer, Cade, yes, and we already talked about Cade. Yep. So everyone wrestled really well.
And they all won their last match, which is a kind of a cool deal. They all went out on a win, and
they did. And of course, Connor, had Daniel Cardenas, who is extremely difficult.
Number 1 in the country.
Number 1 in the country, and Cardenas was tired, and that was awesome to see. Kelton barely lost his semifinal match. It could have gone either way the next time if those guys meet up again, which they won't probably, but if they did, it would go either way. And then Tanner lost his quarterfinal, and that one, again, it would go either way. The kid, Tanner was in the beginning of the third. Tanner started down, and the kid flipped him just for a minute, got a few back points, and that's the only thing that won the match. Those were the only points scored the entire match. So it was really good. And of course, Cade, if anybody's watched Cade wrestle, he's fun and he's all over the place. So I can't quite remember what happened in that one. But
that's right. He is. He's very energetic when he wrestles.
He did a roll, and I was like, like that death roll thing, and I was like, oh, Cade.
Yep.
Yeah, but he just wrestled hard and wrestled smart.
Yep, his energy in the match. There's a few kids who, when I watch them, my blood pressure goes up, and Cade's one of those because it's like I'm on the edge of my seat, like what's going to happen. So
yeah.
Well, good, and so we'll get an opportunity to get on our edge of our seats tomorrow. They're going to be at home, right?
Yep. So tomorrow's a home duel. Remind me against two.
Grand Valley. It's the makeup duel from when
a couple weeks ago
when we didn't wrestle. I don't believe Grand Valley has anybody over 182.
Okay.
they're kind
So
of a
it'll be a
small
shorter
team.
duel.
It'll be a shorter duel.
That's something, and I don't know if we mentioned it on the air, but you were saying how we were one of a few teams that had a full team of 14 weights at that tournament. Did you mention that on the air? Or no?
I think I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't. I believe that there were 6 teams with 14 weights.
Okay.
You know,
Full,
and that, you know, the other kids or the other teams had somewhere 10, 11, 12, you know, nearly full teams. And then just a few that only had, like Boulder brought 2. I don't know what that's all about, but yeah. Yeah, so it was really, the gym was packed, and I'm going to tell you that 5A wrestling is so much different than 2A tournaments, 2A, 3A. They are so quiet. So you could really hear Meeker.
I don't think they have the fans.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know that they have the fans base. You know, that being a big school, they not follow. I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing with the big schools versus the small schools. Small schools, the whole community's involved in it. Big school, it's the parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
It was a little upset that it wasn't on Flow Wrestling, that they didn't have it broadcasted. The Wi-Fi was awful. I attempted to live stream some stuff, but couldn't get anything to go through. But it was a great tournament. And so before we go into your thank yous, why don't you talk about, so we're Thursday or tomorrow, Grand Valley, and then Saturday, JV's going towards Grand Junction, and then Varsity's going to Center.
Yep. So so first going into this week, we're obviously state is our goal, right? And so we got to get to state. So we're timing our training right now around regionals and state. And so this week we're gonna be working really hard in the room. Like this is gonna be probably one of the harder weeks of the year for the kids. And then we're gonna start backing off a little bit. So going into this weekend, it's gonna be a great opportunity to start to see who we're gonna see at regionals and to start being able to strategize a little bit and to pick different matches apart that might be close. So it's going to be great.
And I know that, of course, Trey Kennedy, his dad, you know, knows and follows everything and is there. And Thomas was there this weekend. It was nice to see him. But apparently Trey will have the top 6 guys in his weight will be at Center.
Okay. That's going to be a great opportunity.
It
to
is.
See
It is.
exactly where Trey's lining up. That'll be great. That's
So-
going to be great.
And I'm sure, you know, some of the other kids, I mean, Centauri will be there, I would imagine. So that'll be good to see them.
Yep. Absolutely.
Maybe Buena Vista. So
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
good.
excited.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and give us
Yeah.
the thank yous, and because I'm sure there's a lot of people involved, and
Oh, man. There's
putting it all together, streaming it.
Yep, absolutely. No, to make something like this happen, it was definitely way more than just me. I just got to focus on what I was doing, and so it's like first I got to thank my wife Rebecca. Going into this workout, so a couple hours beforehand. So for those who don't know, she's 39 weeks pregnant now. And so going into this, actually a couple hours before it started, she started having some contractions, and so we almost had to call it off. But like she told me to go ahead, start the workout.
No, you can't.
And I said, go ahead and start the workout, and then I'll tell you. Just keep your phone next to you. And then anyway, so her contractions kind of stopped. She wasn't nearly as uncomfortable, and she started to feel better, and she was able to come and be part of it, and so that was great. And then obviously my kids were well behaved. They actually didn't give their mom a huge headache the whole time, so that was great. And then also, Rich, thank you for streaming it, putting it all together so we could actually get it out there. That was huge. And
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
yeah, and I think that anyone in the community who's thinking about doing something that wants to stream it or have some media, like you're definitely the guy they should call.
Thank you.
And then obviously Lorianne. So Lorianne, she's our head marketing
Klingel-Smith.
person. Klingel-Smith, yep, Lorianne Klingel-Smith. Really so I started coming up with some ideas, and then she's the one who really started to coordinate all of this for me so I could really just focus on the workout. She's the one who got all the marketing stuff out there and started doing the coordinating and really made my life easier for that. So definitely wouldn't have happened without her. Another person who came in towards the end, so the last 6 hours were among the hardest hours for me. My brother, Trevor, as I'm sure everybody knows, the other Dr. Grant, the not real Dr. Grant. he came in to help me finish that, and in the typical Trevor fashion, comes in and it's like, man, I've been working out for 18 hours. That doesn't matter. Like, pick it up, man. Come on, keep it going. And so that was great. So being able to push like that, I definitely would not have finished like I did if Trevor wasn't there. But that's been the story of our relationship. He's always been there for me, almost as if he's the big brother. So I really appreciated that. TJ Shelton also came in to help me through that. He came in from the hours, I want to say 8 a.m. to about 11 a.m., took over after Dr. Kevin Borchard, and so that was great. Sorry, so I wrote these down so I wouldn't forget. Christopher Borchard. So I told you I had some struggles throughout that. I did have to take about a 30-minute break to get rehydrated during that when I cramped up really, really bad. Christopher stayed there every minute of the 24 hours. So he's one of our nurses at the hospital. He stayed there to keep an eye on me. He was checking my vitals. He was helping keep me going. He slept there on the floor. So I definitely wouldn't have, one, felt as comfortable doing it without him there, and two, him being willing to do that to give me some IV fluids when I needed it to take care of me. So that was huge. Porter Hosick, he did most of the interviews for us. And I really appreciate him taking the time to help put together those questions, do a little bit of research, and then he did a great job with the interviews. So I really appreciate that.
He's a good kid.
Yeah. And then also, so the people we interviewed. So the first one we interviewed was my cousin Derek Wellock. So he's a business and CrossFit gym owner in Reno, Nevada. And he talked a little bit about the sport of CrossFit. And that was a great podcast, or I guess they weren't podcasts, interviews, kind of seemed like a podcast, for people who want to go back and listen to that. And I think it's, Rich, you helped us put that. It's on our Facebook page. It's on yours, I think, too.
Yeah, so it's all shared onto yours as well. And also the Coffee with Coaches.
Is Athlos Life.
Yeah, Athlos Life.
Yep. So if anyone wants to go listen to the different interviews, they'll be worth your time. Next, we also interviewed Dr. Kelly Turner talking about breast cancer, really what the public should know to help, find it, screen for it, that sort of thing. And one of the unfortunate things that happened through the pandemic was because obviously COVID became at the forefront, a lot of others. Screening things kind of fell behind. So if people could, remember those kinds of things and think about it. We interviewed Kelton Turner, another awesome one. So I mentioned earlier, as everyone knows, he's overcome a lot. That's an interview everybody should go back and watch. The first couple of minutes there, it was hard to hear him with the audio, but if you go past that couple minutes, they're able to get that fixed. It's worth every minute of listening to it. We also interviewed the next day my other cousin, Jacob Wellock. He's also a CrossFit gym owner. That would be a great listen. And then I want to give a special shout out to Dr. Kevin Borchard, because after spending 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. working out with me, he then came in here with just only like 1 or 2 hours of sleep to do an interview. That's a great one to listen to. And then I also had the chance to interview Skylar Lewis. So he's a very successful, wealthy businessman who focuses on really building the whole person. So he does a lot of business coaching, but he really focuses on building the person, and he approaches it. So I'm a Christian. I really appreciate the spiritual approach that he takes, and that's a great interview for people to listen to. And he talks a little bit about Rise Up Kings, a conference for business people to go to. And then Kyle Dake, as I'm sure a lot of people listening to this know who he is. That was probably one of my favorite interviews. I think everybody should go listen to that for sure. And I want to thank all of them for doing that. And then going through like the different businesses that were involved. Obviously, there was the brewery. So the brewery was the place where I did this. They donated quite a bit. And then the different. So I'm just going to read this off here. So there's obviously Wendell's. Thank you, Bobby. The Grant Family Dentistry, my brother. Streamline Realty. Blanco Cellars, the Mexican House, LK Ranch, Meeker Cafe, Crystal Meadows, our Crystal Meadow Farm, Northwest Auto, Overton Recycling, Namaste Beaches, T&H Leather. I want to say those are all the ones that donated. Those are the ones that I have on my list. If there's somebody out there that I forgot, I apologize. Thank you for everybody who donated. there a large number of people at the brewery think one of the benefits of drinking beer is people's pockets got a little bit looser, and so there's a lot of cash and checks written there too. So that was awesome.
Good
so,
deal.
yeah, thank you very much.
Well, good, and thanks for doing that and what you do. You and your brother both jump in, get involved, and it's benefiting everyone, especially our kids and our wrestlers. Appreciate that. So,
Awesome. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
okay. So when we come back, Tiffany will tell us who she's chosen as the athlete of the week, as well as we'll review where we're going to be competing here this week. So
Yeah.
come on back. Thank you much. All right, thank you. Welcome back. We will go to Tiffany, who will share with us who she has picked as our athlete of the week for this week, as well as tell us about where our kids are going to be competing starting tomorrow. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Yeah, so starting tomorrow, we'll start with that. Wrestling is at home. It's a duel against Grand Valley, and that'll be fun. I don't know what time that starts. I would imagine somewhere around 5:30. Because that is a reschedule. That information's not really there.
Okay, so we'll figure that, try to figure that out and post it on our Facebook page time. It goes pretty quick once they get started, so
Yeah, it'll go really fast. They don't have all the weights, so it'll be a super fast duel. And then Thursday from 4 to 6:30 is the Bulls for Charity, Bulls Fill the Bulls program. And what it is, it's during the Rangeley game, again, 4 to 6:30. It'll be in, of course, whenever Rangeley, when we're in Rangeley or Meeker, Rangeley's here, that's always a fun basketball game to be at. The gym is full and packed. And
always competitive.
Yep, super competitive. And the culinary class will be making the soup. And then the art department has made the bowls, and they will be filling the bowls with soup. And they're $20, and it'll go to a charity of their choice, a nonprofit of their choice. And then the basketball is again at home on Saturday against Vale Mountain, and that'll be really good. Both of these games, like Clark said, are super important because they're determining who and where those league placements will fall and how they'll finish in the league. Then wrestling, JV is going to Grand Junction to a tournament
On Friday?
On Saturday.
Okay.
And on Saturday, the varsity will be in center, and that'll be a really good look at our region.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So then for Athlete of the Week, this week we have chose Liam Deming. Liam scored 25 of the 57 points against Sirocco. Right, super close against, half of the points. So good job, Liam.
Yeah, it was good watching. He got hot. He was on. So, good deal. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thanks, Rich, for recording this. We'll have it edited, and he will put it up on our Facebook page at Coffee with Coaches.
Oh, and
Check
swimming.
It out. Oh, swimming, yes.
Swimming. I'm so sorry,
Swimming.
Bob. I didn't mean to interrupt you like that. But Friday in Aspen, Saturday at Glenwood Springs.
Okay, and they're kind of winding down.
They are, yes. And
season
actually,
two.
this is the final weekend of their regular season.
Okay.
And they go into their conference and their regionals, whatever they call that, next weekend.
All right, so they still can. It's all they
2 more
qualify
weekends.
by time, and so good luck to them, and hopefully they get a few of them that qualify here in the next 2 weeks for state. So, okay, thanks everyone for listening, and thanks again for tuning in. Take care. Thanks. Bye bye.